Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Wendy and this is Will's Mountain Homestead, and it has been a hot minute since I have made a video for you guys. My garden looks a little bit different this year. I'm just letting nature take its course, and the last short that I uploaded was about a huge squash plant that I had no idea what it was, still don't know. But I ended up listening to a majority of you guys, and I left it in place. I am having issues with weeds and I really don't care. I have a lot going on right now, and I have actually started back to work and still caring for my husband who is ill. And so, you know, am I worried about the weeds in my garden? No, I'm just happy I got everything planted. So let me show you what it looks like and what I think I'm gonna do. Just within these 3 rows of tomatoes, you can see all of the weeds and issues I'm having. I have not had a chance to put any barrier down or mulch or anything yet, so that will come here in the next week or two. But I do have 3 rows of cattle panels that are staked, and that's what I'm using this year to trellis my tomatoes, because it worked so well last year for me that I wanted to keep everything very easy. So like you can tell, I have a bunch of tomatoes. I've got flowers on all my plants. I actually have some tomatoes further down. But we've had a ton of rain, and it just rains almost every day. I have flowers interplanted everywhere. I have nasturtiums here. You can tell I've got some marigolds over there, and there's marigolds there as well. And then here's this huge squash plant. Now I have come to the realization that it does vine. So, you know, I stuck a cage in the middle of it, which I'm not sure how much good that did. Not a whole lot. So it is a vining plant, so I'm thinking it's probably either spaghetti squash or butternut, one of the two. So we'll see. And over here is kind of where it's a little fun. I say that jokingly. I have a ton of random corn that just popped up. Did I plant corn this year? No. I'm just letting it go, and we'll see what happens. I have a few rows of peppers that I have put in. Can hardly see them because they're just tiny. And then another huge vining squash plant in the back. Now my brassicas and potatoes are doing very well. Even with the amount of rain that we have gotten, it has made it hard to get in here and do anything because everything is so wet. And with the amount of rain we've had, you can kind of see I have a little bit of yellowing on the bottoms of my potatoes. I'm just hoping that they're not rotting in the dirt. I've got flowers on some of my zucchini. So in my garden space, I have 4 raised beds. 2 of those contain herbs. The other 2 I rotate out with seasonal products. So my spinach is just about done. So once I pull all of that out, I will probably put in some lemon squash or maybe even a couple pepper plants. But it's something that you can keep rotating round and round depending on, you know, if you have row covers, if you have hoops that you can put in, that kind of thing, to extend your growing season. So for instance, this spinach plant here is just about ready to bolt. You can see it's starting to flower here. So I'm gonna pick all of those off, pull the plants, and then, like I said, I'll probably put a couple peppers in here. I've got my Swiss chard. That will last us through November, probably, depending if it gets a hard frost. So I thought this was beans, but I think it's a weed. I thought I had like these random bean plants growing, but when I look at them, I think it's just a weed that's vining. So I'm gonna have to pull that out because it's really taking over everything. I've got a cherry tomato in here. It's called a gobstopper tomato plant, so it should get pretty prolific, which I'm hoping it does. I've got some fennel, some celery, and then my goji berry bushes, which are right here. We did get a few goji berries last year, but not enough to really preserve. So I'm hoping we can dehydrate these for next year. This is one of my herb beds here. I do have, like I said, a random zucchini growing, which is fine. I've got chamomile, some parsley, lemongrass, oregano, stevia, a bunch of dill. I've got basil in there hiding down in there. Borage, and then more parsley. And then I have, where is it? I've got rosemary in here somewhere. It's hiding. There's rosemary in there, if you can see it. But yeah, so that's one of my herb beds. And then this lettuce bed is just a jungle, to say the least. So I've got peas that are starting to come on over here, and they're using the cattle panel as a trellising system. I've got radishes that I didn't have time to get out and pull, so they all went to seed, which is fine. I'll just pull them and give them to the chickens. And then I have some more spinach that needs pulled out. My onions are doing fantastic. Now see, now if you have stuff like this, see how that has a head on it here? That's gonna flower. I don't want that, so I'm just gonna pull that off. And then I have this random sunflower growing kind of right in the middle. And then I have my green lettuce down here. We have been having fresh salads just about every day for lunch over the past, I would say, 2 weeks. And then I have the wonderful world of yarrow. If you plant yarrow, I would suggest putting it in a container space where it can just do its own thing by itself, because this was just one plant last year and it has taken over my entire bed. I need to come in and actually pull a lot of this out to keep it from spreading. I've got cosmos in here. I've got bee balm, a lot of bee balm. And there's one there that's starting to get a flower right here. And I have marshmallow root right here. I have some hyssop back in there. And further down in here, I have like feverfew, and I do have some mullein down in here too, but I've got to get rid of all of this yarrow. Like, it's just crazy. It's taken over everything. Good pollinator though. Now I do have nasturtiums planted along the border of my tomatoes here, and I'm thinking that's going to be a good border to help cut down on weeds once they actually start taking off. I have random plants again coming up. I've got mustard. I have more marigolds, just random, and I'm going to leave them because they're great pollinators for your garden. But guys, like you can see, I have a lot of weeding that needs to be done. You know, along my cattle panels back here, my beans are coming up, my actual beans. Like the things that are really beans are coming up. And I've got a lot of different types of pumpkins growing, and you know, it's exciting. So planting a garden the size that we have is a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is. It's a lot of work, but you have to weigh the benefits of it. You know, I am getting fresh vegetables that we're using right now in a lot of our meals that we're having. You know, I don't use any pesticides, so I don't have to worry about anything being sprayed on my vegetables. And, you know, if it takes me a couple hours in the evenings after the sun goes down to come out and weed, so be it. You know, I prioritize what I need to get everything done. And we do what we have to do. Am I concerned about the weeds and stuff taking over? Not really, because once I get a barrier down, which is usually newspaper and cardboard, I will put leftover chicken straw and stuff on top of it from cleaning out their beds from last year, and mulch and stuff like that. So that'll help keep the weeds down once I actually am able to get out here and do it. So every year I try to plant something that is a perennial. So last year I planted elderberries, and this year we have flowers that are on the plants. They're actually doing very well. And then this spring I planted huckleberries. So I'm hoping that we get a harvest from that this year. If we do, that's fantastic. If we don't, it's no sweat. You know, it's just something that will come back every year and that I don't have to worry about. So, and I know that we will have stuff here that we can forage in our own backyard. Our meat birds, they get butchered in a week, so it'll be nice to not have to worry about them anymore. And we have 15 of those for this spring, and they're all doing fantastic. Oh, there they go. So as you can see, I'm really not stressing about the weeds. I don't care. I'm not stressing about the fact that I was maybe a week or two late getting everything in. It's still gonna grow. You know, life happens and you have to do the best that you can in, you know, the parameters that you're given. So I'm just happy that I do have a lot of good hearty vegetables in the ground that I will be able to make convenience foods later. I'll be able to do tomato soup. I'll be able to can spaghetti sauce. I will be able to can vegetable soup. Things that will make life easier for me once the school year starts again in the fall. So you guys, I thank you so much for watching. Take care, God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye.